Welcome to French Grammar Lessons by myself, Mr. Crucides. This is lesson number 4, all about the past tense, often referred to as the passé composé in French. As usual, as I've said in many of my other videos, no point in teaching you a tense in French if you don't really understand what it is what tense you're using in English. So what is the past tense in English? The past tense we use to describe an event which happened or has happened. So for example, here are 2 examples of a past tense. He played, he has played. So we've got 2 past tenses, one which uses the words have or has, and one which doesn't. So he played, there's no have or has there, but he has played, there is a has. So it's normally 2 words or 3 words in English. Well, I suppose depending on how many words the subject of the sentence is itself. Anyway, without trying to confuse you too much, I just want to try and keep this very simple. Again, the past tense should be easier for us because French only has 1 past tense, whereas English has 2. So he played, he has played is translated exactly the same way in French. The poor French, they have to think much harder than we do because they have to think, should I say he played or he has played here? They have to think which tense to use. But for us into French is easy because there's only 1 French past tense. Okay. So, how is the French past tense or passé composé formed? It's very easy. First of all, you need the subject of the sentence. It's very unlikely you're going to get this wrong. You're never going to accidentally forget to put in your subject, which could be a subject pronoun like I, you, he, we, she, they, etc. It could be, Steve, Gary, Bob, Bill, Simon, Sue. It could be the dog, the cat, the car, my parents. It could be anything. Then you need part of the verb avoir. This is the verb to have. So you need to learn, when I say part of the verb, it's the present tense. Part of the present tense of avoir. In my present tense lesson, hopefully you've memorised the verb avoir. So j'ai to, you'll see it in a moment. And finally, we need what is called a past participle. Sounds very, very complicated. You don't need to remember that it's called a past participle. You just need to remember what it looks like, how to form it, as it's the 3rd key element of the past tense. So first of all, you need to memorize this verb off by heart. J'ai, tu as, il a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. Learn it off by heart, and please memorize it in that order. It's useless learning verbs in a random order like j'ai, nous avons, il a. No, always go I, you, he, we, you, they. A lot easier. So, you've got your subject, you've got your part of avoir. Now you need to include the 3rd element, which is the past participle, and they're formed like this. Remember, there are 3 different groups of verbs in French. There are ER verbs. As you can see, jouer, that's the infinitive. The dictionary form of the verb ends in ER. To form the past participle, that's the 3rd thing you need to put in a past tense. Take off the ER and add E accent. For verbs that finish in IR, like finir, take off the IR ending and add an I. Or you could just take off the R. It's probably an easier rule to follow, to be honest. And the RE verbs like vendre, which means to sell. Vendu is the participle, so take off the RE and add a U. So you need a subject, you need to use part of the present tense of the verb avoir and a participle. So an ER verb becomes E accent, an IR verb becomes an I, an RE verb becomes a U. Done. Easy. Here we go. So she played. The subject is elle. The present tense of the verb avoir that goes with elle is just the word a, or the letter a, elle a, and finally participle jouer. So it's an ER verb, so it becomes E accent in the past tense. He watched. Il a regardé. Simple. 3 things: subject, il, part of the verb avoir, a, and the participle regarder. So notice how I've written clearly after point 2. Don't forget this part. Don't forget to put in part of the verb avoir. She played in English is 2 words, but in French it is 3 words. She played is not elle jouait. He watched is not il regardait. You always need those 3 things. You must not forget part of the verb avoir. That needs to be in there. So it's always elle a joué, il a regardé. Just going back to this, elle a joué means she played. It does also mean she has played. Elle a does actually mean she has. So don't think that if you want to write she has played, that's elle a joué, but she played, elle jouait. She played, she has played, it's the same in French. He watched, he has watched, it's the same in French. So don't forget part 2, the part of the verb avoir. Even if in English there's no have or has. In these examples, she played, he watched, there is no part, there's no has there, is there? But that doesn't matter, it still goes in French. Very easy to forget part of the verb avoir. Always, 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 subject, part of the verb avoir in the present tense, and a past participle. And that's the most common mistake, is forgetting avoir. So here's the past tense in action. So maybe just pause the screen while you look through these, just to make sure you can translate those. The third one down, there's an accent missing on the E. So it should be il a mangé, not il a mange. So apologies for the error there. Anyway, here are the answers. Notice I've translated all of them with in 2 ways, using the word have or has, and once, and also without. So j'ai joué, I played, I have played. There we go. So there are the answers. Here's some from English into French. Again, I've tried to use common verbs which I think you should know. So again, press pause, grab a piece of paper. Why not try and translate these into French before I give you the answers? Okay, here are the answers. J'ai écouté, j'ai visité, on a joué ou nous avons joué, elle a habité, ils ont gagné, elle a regardé, vous avez joué, il a acheté, elle a nagé, il a dansé, and finally, tu as acheté. I wonder how many times you missed out the middle word, the part of avoir. Notice he danced, I chucked in there as well, he has danced, just to confuse you. Remember, in English we have 2 past tenses, he danced, he has danced. Both are translated exactly the same way in French. Another thing we need to think about, we've talked about past participles. Remember, there was a pattern, ER verbs, the participle ends with E accent. IR verbs, the participle ends in an I. And an RE verb, the participle ends with a U. But not all verbs follow this pattern, unfortunately. Some have irregular past participles. It's a bit like English. In English, you form a past participle generally by adding an ED. I kick, present. I kicked, past. I can't think of another example off the top of my head. I watch. I watched, add an ED. I play, I played, add an ED. But some are irregular. I go, you don't say I go, you say I went. I buy, you don't say I buyed, you say I bought. French has irregular ones too. If it's just because it's irregular in English doesn't mean it's irregular in French, by the way. Okay, there's just a reminder of how to form regular past participles, and here are some irregular ones. These are the most irregular ones you're likely to encounter, certainly for GCSE. Faire becomes fait, voir becomes vu, lire becomes lu, prendre becomes pris, boire becomes bu. So j'ai fait means I did, it also means I have done. Elle a bu, she drank or she has drunk. Let's see if you can translate these. Press pause, work them out before I give you the answers. Here are the answers. Notice again how I've translated all of them 2 ways. Once with have or has, and once without. Remembering that English has 2 versions of the past tense, whereas French only has the 1. Try these ones into French. Again, these are using the irregular past participle, but again, it's the same rule. Subject, part of the verb avoir, don't forget that part, and then the past participle. But these ones are irregular past participles. Press pause, grab a piece of paper, and jot these down. Okay, here are the answers. J'ai pris, elle a bu, il a lu, nous avons vu, or on a vu. Remember, there's 2 ways you can say we in French. Il a fait, on a fait, nous avons fait, ils ont vu, elle a fait, j'ai bu, ils ont pris, or elles ont pris if it's a female group, and nous avons bu, or on a bu. There we go. Did you remember to put in avoir every time? Or did you miss it out? Did you maybe for we drank, did you write nous bu or on bu? No, don't forget the part avoir there. So recap. To say that you or someone else did or has done something, use part of the verb avoir with a participle. Present tense of the verb avoir. J'ai, tu as, il a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. Memorize that verb, remember it in the correct order. And also you need to remember how the participles are formed from the three verb groups. An ER verb becomes E accent, an IR verb group becomes an I, an RE group becomes a U. And as I've already mentioned, you need to learn the verb avoir off by heart. And also, you need to learn some irregular past participles too. What is the irregular past participle of the verb boire, faire, lire, prendre, voir? Do you know that they are fait, bu, lu, pris, vu? If not, learn them. Thank you.